Now, here are your hosts, Hank Davis and Mello Betts.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the NFL Fan Podcast. It's Mello's NFL Weekly, brought to you by TPEnetwork.com. I'm your host, former professional athlete Hank Davis, and joining me on the line, he is our resident professor of sports and the gambling guru himself. He's Mello Betts. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, and I promise this show will be a real hootenanny.
You don't have to make that kind of promise. No promise is a good promise. The campaign season is done. We don't want any more promises. Mello, are you ready to jump into some news?
With both feet.
It's time for the news, a roundup of all the biggest headlines.
The House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform will continue a hearing next week to examine the science behind HGH testing and the health concerns surrounding its use, according to a government source. The hearing will feature experts and individuals concerned about the dangers of performance-enhancing substances. The NFL Players Association has cited the inadequacy of HGH testing as a reason for holding up implementation of a testing regimen in the NFL. The hearing will seek opinions on the subject. The NFL Players Association believes the science behind current HGH testing is not up to snuff. Mello, any thoughts?
Can we get gas back under $3 once they're done messing around with this stuff?
You don't like the government meddling in your sports? What's wrong with you?
No, I don't. Never been a big fan of government dabbling in sports. I think they've got other things on the agenda they could be working on here.
Dude, they want to kick their feet up just like everybody else, watch a good bowl game or two, and then call it a day. Just like everybody else.
Yeah, when you get health coverage for life, I guess you can kick your feet up like that.
You can do so, but do it gingerly. A team source has reported that Baltimore Ravens linebacker Ray Lewis, sidelined with a torn triceps, is expected to return on December 16th to face Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos. Is there any truth to this, number one? And if so, how is this possible?
I heard that he's coming back. Has he made a trip to Jamaica or somewhere down there?
Or Canada and got him some stem cells?
He got something going here. There's something going on with these rejuvenations of these serious injuries.
Yeah, because it wasn't that many years ago where a guy tore an ACL or a bicep, tricep, pec, and he was just done.
Yeah, you're done for the season.
And nowadays, these guys are breaking legs. They're breaking ribs. Before the stringent moves around concussions, they were getting concussed, and they were coming right back onto the field. And it's just a miracle of science that this is working out this way.
Yeah, there's some science going on, all right.
Somebody's doing something somewhere.
Scientific experimentation.
And we got the X-Men going on. But do you think there's just advancements that are legal that people are using, or do you think this is all under the table black market stuff?
You know what? I bet there is some, because of the access that you have by being rich, I bet you can get some way out there doctors that are trying some really freaky stuff. I bet you can do that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if the price is right, why wouldn't they? All right, here's a quote, Mello, I wanted to... It's a short little quote from Alex Smith, and we're gonna discuss this whole San Francisco 49er quarterback situation.
Okay.
He says, "I feel like the only thing I did to lose my job was get a concussion." Now, you and I have talked throughout the years about you should never lose your starting job to injury.
Right.
Insert Drew Bledsoe here. What are your thoughts on this whole situation?
You know, it's a dicey, tricky situation because, yeah, he shouldn't lost his job because he got concussed. And you can't, he couldn't just jump right back in there, even though he probably would have wanted to. But the way it's set up now, you can't just do that. But when you're talking about the team aspect of it, it's the head coach's job to do what's best for the team. And if they're watching this guy in practice saying, wow, he's better than our starter, I mean, you can't just sit on your hands and not make a move. I mean, when you watch the guy play, he can do more than what Alex can do, and that's just kind of tough luck. But like I always say, starting quarterback in the NFL, there's only 32 of these jobs,
Yep.
you know, so there's going to be some hard ways to go on this, and this is one of those things, you know. It just, hey, it sucks to be you, but it's real good to be Kaepernick right now.
Yes, it is, until the fanfare runs out.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and there's going to be a game where he just looks terrible. It's going to happen, and then that's going to be the big decider. But is there anything else on that one?
While I was perusing around, sniffing for information, because everybody is talking about this quarterback controversy, I found out a little nugget that settles it easily for me. Alex Smith is due a $7.5 million signing bonus deal, and I think it's in April. So you needed to get this kid out here and see if he could play, because they're not giving him that kind of money.
No, and you know, without being offensive, but if you just look at the situation, I wouldn't pay Alex Smith a lot of money. Period.
No, and now that you've seen this kid can play, you'd really be foolish to think you're going to keep your backup, you know, paying that kind of money when you've got this kid under the new, you know, wage guidelines here.
Yeah. Yes. And you got him locked in for at least a little while.
Yeah, so that just made it pretty clear to me that he is not going to be a 49er. They're not going to pay him that kind of money. That's kind of obvious to me.
Sticking with quarterbacks, Michael Vick of the Eagles, he failed to pass his impact concussion test. And so he's not cleared to practice or play, obviously.
Ooh.
But do you think this is really about this concussion, or do you think they're just seeing what they have with Foles and all that stuff?
I think you already know what you have with Foles at this point. I thought Michael was going to be able to play this week. This might be more serious than I thought.
Okay, so it could be legitimate and
not
not just a spin.
You know, hey, with the deception that goes on, maybe it is a big hoax. But they're serious about this concussion business now, and it's not just the team. The league is serious about it. So he really could be, and, you know, look at how many hits he's taken, you know, and they didn't have this kind of proactive treatment and stuff before when he was getting banged all around. He could be in, you know, as far as concussions go, he could be, you know, somebody that's already got a condition.
Definitely, yeah. And it makes you wonder, you know, how long has he been playing with something that could have potentially set him back?
Yeah.
Former LSU defensive back Tyrann Mathieu announced Thursday he is entering the next NFL draft. The Honey Badger is headed to the NFL. Mello, we've known forever that if there's good play, then there's money to be made, regardless of your past. Who do you think gives him a chance to play for them? Do you think there's just a narrow group, or by what we've seen at the cornerback position this season, do you think if he's on the board in the second, third round, people are just going to jump?
You know what? I heard one expert say he's only going to be probably a fourth rounder. He didn't play this season.
Yeah.
He's got the issues with the marijuana and such. So I don't know that you can, you know, take a big flyer on him by drafting him in the second round, but I'll go with the usual suspects. I'm talking Cincinnati, Oakland,
Raiders,
Detroit. Yeah. You know what I mean by that.
Anywhere where they were like, you know what, we embrace your past.
You'll fit right in with this crew we got here.
Just hold this little board under your chin and say cheese.
You can sit over there in that corner of the locker room where all the smoke is coming from.
Nice. Now, I wanted to talk about some defensive linemen. You remember last week we kind of focused on some quarterbacks?
Yeah.
Well, this week, let's look at some defensive linemen, because the NFL will not be suspending Saints starting defensive tackle Broderick Bunkley for his kick to the back of offensive lineman Alex Boone's helmet in the final minutes of the 49ers' victory over the Saints. The Chicago Bears, they're going to be without starting right guard Lance Lewis for the rest of the season because of a left knee injury. And they're not too happy with Minnesota's Jared Allen because I guess there was some funny business on how that went down.
Oh, boy.
And then Detroit Lions defensive tackle Ndamukong Suh. He will not be suspended for kicking Schaub in the groin. But he's going to get fined a little hefty, I think it's $30,000. So, Mello, what in the heck is going on here with these defensive linemen kind of employing tactics that are injuring people in certain situations or trying to injure people in certain situations?
You know what? I really think that because they've changed the rules in this league to just promote the offense so much, I really think the defense has taken that to heart, that they are really bitter that, that it's an offensive-driven league. And so they take that bitterness with them on each and every play out there. And it's just already a violent game, and then you get guys, with this kind of physicality to have that kind of mentality, and you are really asking for trouble. Because you can't tell me that they don't embrace the offensive players way more than they do the defensive players. I think a defensive player has to do a lot more than an offensive player to get the kind of headlines these guys are getting these days.
And lastly in the news, Mello, currently sitting at 4-7, the New York Jets pretty much have to win out and need a miracle to get in the playoffs. But Mark Sanchez, their quarterback, says that we feel great. We love our chances. What in the heck? What is wrong with these guys?
Oh, I'm having a flashback to Blue Skies Joey Harrington. That sounds like something he would say.
Oh, goodness.
I mean, the sky is falling, guys. You guys need to look up because it really is falling. 4-7, and your chances of winning out are not very good, guys. When have you showed you could rip off several wins in a row? Oh, my word.
It's ridiculous. And have they not seen the opposition? You're probably going to need more than 9 wins.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sorry, but it's just not going to pan out for you this year.
Not going to happen.
Oh, my goodness. Shall we go to something that will pan out, Mello, like that's not football?
Okay.
It won't go on the stat sheet, but New York Giants catch of the day had to be Martellus Bennett. As he was coming off the field, he tossed his gloves to a few kids in the stands. And just then, a man came up, an adult came up to try to catch one of the gloves and toppled over the railing. Bennett broke his fall, and both of them ended up on the ground. Bennett says, I just did what any superhero would do.
Oh.
Saved his life.
Oh, my God.
Then Bennett likened himself to Marvel superhero Cyclops from X-Men. Mello.
Oh. That is not that is not football, boy.
Apparently, the only way to stop Adrian Peterson is to leave him at the hotel, and that's what Leslie Frazier and the Vikings did. Peterson had to take a cab to Soldiers Field, arriving half an hour later than the rest of the team. Mello?
That's not good, and that's not football.
That cuts down on your yards per carry. Boston Bruins, Milan Lucic, tweeted a picture of himself and New England Patriots tight end Rob Gronkowski Friday night. Apparently, Hardy Monster Rob isn't going to let something like a broken forearm get in the way of his social life. Mello?
That is not football, Rob.
Also, Detroit Lions wide receiver Titus Young was unhappy with the lack of balls being thrown his way against the Packers. So he decided to intentionally line up in the wrong spot on the field multiple times before mouthing off to Lions receiver coach Sean Jefferson and being benched for the final series of the game. Mello?
That's being a brat. That's not football.
There can only be one terrible towel in the National Football League. But an ambitious Jacksonville native named Bert Sparks recently introduced Jaguars fans to the Jag Rag. Mello?
Okay, that's not football, baby.
That's entrepreneurial spirit, but not football.
Not football.
When asked about the when asked about the discussion of Adderall use across the NFL, Brandon Marshall told reporters it is not the only prescription drug he has heard players abusing. According to Marshall, some players have used Viagra as a performance enhancer on the field.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. We're talking about a subject that is definitely not football here.
Just two more. The New Orleans Saints traveled to Atlanta on Wednesday night to prepare for the Thursday night thrashing against the Falcons, but they received an unpleasant welcome from the city's airport workers. According to several tweets from Saints players, some Falcon airport workers threw eggs at the team bus.
Oh.
I'm like, why would you do that? You're just going to be the one that has to clean it up.
No doubt. That has nothing to do with football. That's not football.
And lastly, angry fans often express their displeasure with a player who has left their team for another team by burning their jersey. That's nothing new, but some terrible Bengals fan decided to take a urine on a Carson Palmer jersey, then set it on fire.
Oh, boy.
Which had to be doubly hard at that point. Mello?
Oh, wow. That's not football. No.
That's a lot of things, but that's not football.
That's disgusting.
Let's switch to the rap sheet, shall we?
Okay.
Calling all cars. Calling all cars. Be advised, we have NFL players on the loose.
Miami Dolphins defensive back Jonathan Amaya has been charged with battery after police say he choked a taxi driver.
Whoa.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers cornerback Eric Wright will be suspended for the next 4 games because of a violation of the NFL's policy on performance-enhancing substances.
Viagra?
Oh, man. Seahawks starting cornerbacks Richard Sherman and Brandon Browner are facing 4-game suspensions for testing positive for Adderall.
Oh, boy.
So these suspensions won't take effect until their appeals have been heard and resolved. New England Patriots defensive end Jermaine Cunningham has been suspended 4 games for violating the NFL's policy on performance-enhancing substances. Former NFL tight end Jeremy Stevens has been released from jail after being taken into custody on a probation violation. So he violated his 2010 marijuana possession charge in Tampa when he played for the Buccaneers. Now, remember, he is the guy that used to go out, or he might still be married to Hope Solo.
Oh, yeah.
Something, and there was a big ordeal about that, too. But nothing substantiated, so I didn't want to report. And lastly, the Oakland Raiders on Friday suspended linebacker Rolando McClain for conduct detrimental to the team. And from what I've heard, he will not be a part of the team.
What do you have to do to get kicked off the Raiders? Good gosh. Whoa.
One of my sources said that he actually trashed part of the facility on his way out. Mm-hmm. But that's not confirmed. That's just a source saying something. And we'll have to wait and see how that pans out. This is, we're recording on Friday, so we'll see what comes up in the next couple days. Mello, there was one thing I missed on That's Not Football, and I wanted to get your take on it.
Okay.
The Carolina Panthers, they have lost 12 coin tosses this season, including each one at the start of their 11 games and then one at the beginning of their overtime loss to Tampa Bay. So since they're having so much trouble with the coin toss, they're asking fans to make the call this weekend when they take on the Chiefs. Is that ridiculous or what?
That's not football, but that is on the ridiculous side. Why don't they pull a switch to say the opposite?
Yeah, why not? Why wouldn't you? Mello, anything before we switch to our picks?
I'm ready to pick them.
Let's do it.
An easier go at it this week.
It's time to pick them. Remember, picks are made for entertainment purposes only.
Alrighty. It's time for the Week 13 picks against the spread. The Thursday night game, it was at Atlanta, and the Falcons were laying 3.5 to the Saints. I had taken the Saints, and Mello was smart and took the Falcons, so he wins. I lose. At Chicago, the Bears are going to lay 4 points to the visiting Seattle Seahawks. So this should be an interesting game. With that 4 points, I'm taking Seattle, man. I'm just winging one out there. The Bears should be able to handle them, but I, for some reason, think even though they're coming across country and it's early morning, I think they're going to get them. Who are you taking?
Yeah, I got Seattle as well, but it's that Chicago offensive line with more injuries, and they're just not a very good offensive line to begin with. I don't like that matchup with Seattle's defensive line there, so I think they can keep it close.
At Green Bay, the Packers are going to lay 9 to the Minnesota Vikings. I think this is a setup. I think they're trying to get you to take Minnesota because Green Bay is going to end up blowing these guys out, which they very well could. But I'm going to take Minnesota getting the 9. It's just too many points inside the division for me. Mello, who you got?
You're doing that old Jedi. If it looks like a trap, I'm going to go spring it. 9 points within the division. I'm with you on that. That's too much for me. Even though Green Bay, they're going to come out mad, but I say Minnesota with a good game plan, steady dose of AP is what I would do to try to keep the numbers down in this game because they're not going to win a shootout. But 9, too much for me.
San Francisco is going to lay 7 points on the road at St. Louis. I think San Francisco is going to handle St. Louis. St. Louis came through for me last weekend. Just barely, though. So I'm going to take San Francisco because I just think St. Louis expended all their energy keeping it close. Mello, who you got?
I'm going on the theory that it is tough to win games and just keep winning games and stuff. And St. Louis, they're going to be feeling pretty good about themselves after that coming through last week. So I'm going to take them again this week.
Nice. At the New York Jets, where they feel confident about their positioning.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to lay 4.5 to the Arizona Cardinals. This is a toughie. Houston, this is a toughie. I'm going to take the Jets. They have everything right where they want it. So
oh, yeah.
I'm going to take the Jets on this one. I just can't trust Arizona. I can't trust them. Well, I shouldn't trust either of them, though. But I can't trust Arizona more than I can't trust the Jets. Who are you taking?
I don't like the Arizona quarterback situation, but I do like their defense, and they look like they're actually back. The Jets laying 4.5. Can they score 4.5? I am going to take Arizona in this one.
Nice. The Carolina Panthers, they're going to lay 3 on the road at Kansas City, where the fans have revolted. My goodness. I'm taking Carolina on the road laying the 3. I just think I think they're going to be just too much for Kansas City. Because Carolina still can, on occasion, score some points. And Kansas City is just a mess. Who are you taking?
Yeah, Carolina's in the position where they know they need to win this game. I mean, it's Kansas City. Come on now. But I figure Newton can really come through in this game, so I'm going with Carolina to cover the 3.
Nice. Nice play on words. At Detroit, the Lions are going to lay 4.5 to the Indianapolis Colts. You know what? I think personally that this is a styles and matchup situation where Detroit can pin their ears back and get after Luck. I don't think Indianapolis is going to do enough on the ground to beat those defensive linemen off the line of scrimmage. So I think Detroit's going to get this one. I think they'll win by more than a touchdown. Who you got?
I'm sticking with Indy. Dome team to dome team. I know Indy not good on the road. Detroit, all the rest. And normally, I would say a team, with the 10 days rest has a big advantage, but it's Detroit. You never know what you're going to get out of these guys. So my safer play is just to take Indy in the points because, yeah, Detroit might blow them out or they might just squeak by them. You don't know. But I like Indy in the points. Luck hasn't played the greatest. I don't know that he's going to have 3 bad games in a row.
At Buffalo, the Bills are going to lay 6 points to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have seemed to find new life behind Chad Henne.
Yes,
Chad
sir.
Henne's back there getting killed. But I think he can do just enough to keep them within the 6, if not win the game outright. Who are you taking?
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of taking Jacksonville, but this is a little better Jacksonville team with Henne behind center, and I'm not taking Buffalo to cover 6 points. Are you kidding me?
The New England Patriots, they're going to lay 7.5 on the road at Miami. So this should be an interesting matchup. I don't know exactly what Miami's going to do to slow New England down, but they should be able to do something to stay within the 7.5 to stall ball or whatever you have to do. So I'm going to take Miami getting that 7.5. It's just a little too much for people who are too familiar with each other. Who you got?
I am taking New England. I'm scared to go against them because they can open up a can. And Miami, I just haven't had a good deal of luck with those guys. So I'll just take New England and call for a blowout on this one.
Houston is going to leave the friendly confines of Barbecue Sauce Stadium, and essentially they're going to play themselves because they are laying 5.5 points on the road at Tennessee. Wait a minute, who are you? Who are you supposed to be? Who are you supposed to be? Who are you trying to impersonate? Who you got to be? I'm going to take Houston on the road, laying the 5.5. I think they are getting a little frustrated with the lack of respect that they've been getting, and I think they're going to lay it on Tennessee on this one. Who you got?
Yeah, this is a team with 10 days rest that knows what to do with it. Originally, I was leaning a little bit towards Tennessee, keeping it close because it's a divisional game, but I think Houston wants to make a statement here. And Tennessee didn't show me much last week, so I don't know that them being at home is going to be any kind of a big deal. I think Houston is going to trounce these Cats.
At Denver, the Broncos are going to lay 7 to the visiting Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You know what? One thing I think about Tampa Bay, I think they do just enough to stay in games,
Yep.
even if they don't win. So give me Tampa Bay getting 7. That's a lot. And let's try to calm down the Denver hype wagon. Who are you taking?
Yeah, I think the Denver hype wagon is put a couple extra points on this one, which means I've got to take Tampa Bay getting the 7. That looks delicious.
At Baltimore, the Ravens, where there was almost a mutiny, according to John Harbaugh, are going to lay 8 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Oh, my goodness, man. Big Ben, they need you. I don't know when Big Ben is going to be back for sure, and I cannot take the chance that he doesn't play because Baltimore should crush them if he don't play because Pittsburgh is terrible without him.
Yes.
So give me Baltimore minus the 8. Who are you taking?
Well, I'm leaning towards he's going to play, even with the bad ribs and stuff. But if he goes out there with the bad ribs against Baltimore, I don't like it. 8 points is so much. Knowing that I'm leaning towards Ben's going to start this game, I don't know if he finishes it. I'm going to try to cover the 8 with Baltimore on the fact that I don't think Ben's going to be the big factor. I mean, he could wreck this point spread if he plays. There's no doubt about this. But I'm leaning towards he's not going to be able to either play or finish the game because I'm saying if he's already wounded out there and it's your arch rival, do the math on that.
Awesome. This is an NFL fan podcast rivalry pick right here. Cleveland will lay 1.5 on the road at Oakland. Battle lines are clearly drawn. I have to go with my Raiders against Mello's chump Cleveland Browns. Mello, should I even bother asking you who you're going to take? Or?
You don't even have to bother. All I'm going to say is if you think coming from Cleveland, we're going to be scared because of the surroundings. You ain't been to Cleveland lately, baby. Yeah, that's not going to – it's going to be like a walk in the park looking at those angry, bitter fans. We've got angry, bitter fans of our own, and they want to kill us just as bad as the Raiders fans want to kill us.
The Cincinnati Bungles, who also reside in a crime-ridden area, are going to lay 1.5 as they travel on the road at Fire North Turner Stadium. I mean, I'm sorry if that's not at the right name. But at the Chargers, I'm going to take Cincinnati because I think the Chargers are ready to tap the mat. Who are you taking?
It's Qualcomm Down Stadium. We got a few more games before we can fire Norv, all right? I got Cincinnati. They're on a serious roll right now, and I don't see San Diego stopping them.
At Dallas, the Cowboys are going to lay 10 points. They're going to figure out how to score them first, then they're going to lay them to the man who likes to fold and the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to take Dallas laying the 10 because Philadelphia is pathetic without Michael Vick. You know how sometimes they say, man, wonder what they would be like if they didn't have so-and-so. Well, now we see. They can't coach. They can't win. They can't score points. They're frustrated. They will quit at any sign of resistance. Give me Dallas. Who you got?
Jason Raven gets shown the door. I'm saying that's a wake-up call for everybody on the Eagles. Your film is out there from here. The clock is ticking for these guys. I'm saying by hook or by crook, they have to stay within 10 points or they're going to can so many people they might not be able to field a team for next week.
Nice. And the Monday night game, the New York Football Giants are going to lay 2.5 on the road at Washington. I'm getting so tired of Justin Tuck saying how many nightmares he has about Robert Griffin III. The Giants are way too physical for Washington, in my opinion. They will win this game. They will easily bully their way into the win. Who are you taking?
Yeah, I've had a nice run with Bob Griffin and the guys, but it's the end of the line right here. I'm taking the Giants as well.
Nice. All right, Mello, that's it for the picks. But do you have any final thoughts before we go off the air here?
As I told you before, these numbers had to start getting closer to the 50 percentile. So we have home favorites are at 46. That's still your worst. Home underdogs, 48%. Road favorites are 52%. And, of course, the one that blows your mind, the road underdog, your best bet, 54%.
That's ridiculous.
Isn't it? And your big spreads are covering at a whopping 41%.
Ooh.
You see why I'm leery of covering these big spreads.
Ouch. Okay, and there was a couple of them on the board this week.
Mm-hmm.
Great. Anything else, buddy?
Oh, my best bets, I'm 56%, which for this time of year is not doing so. I don't know what the deal is, why my actual overall picking is just right behind my best bets. I don't know what's going on with my best bets, but I promise I'll get sharper here, folks, in the next couple of weeks because we get playoffs coming up.
That's where we come to life and show some enthusiasm.
Yes, sir.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for this edition of the NFL Fan Podcast, Mello's NFL Weekly. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we hope you tune in every week on TPEnetwork.com. For Mello Betts, I'm Hank Davis. Until next time, my friends, we're signing off.
If you have comments or feedback, you can email the guys at tprfans@yahoo.com. That's tprfans@yahoo.com, or call the voicemail line at +1 810 309 8445.